Hello everyone, welcome to my tutorial. Today I'm going to talk about the query language. We already know about the database query languages, but from the JPA perspective, we also need to have some sort of query that we can use for retrieving or updating or any kind of database operation. So those kind of query language, we are calling that to be the JPQL. It is something like the SQL-like language. It operates on entities, their attributes, and relationship. And we already know what the entities and their attributes and the relationships are. So the JPQL we need to operate on those entities. One example can be over here. You can see in the PowerPoint that select U from user U, where u.username equals username. And over here, this user is nothing but the table. And then again, we can see another one, select U from user, U where u.username, so this is the instance, u.username equals username, and u.password equals password. JPA query parameters, and we talked about the JPQL, so let's talk about the query parameters or the parameterized query. So it can be of two types. One is the positional parameter, and we can see one of the example over here, that query. Okay, remember that this one, query equals entity manager dot create query. So this entity manager is responsible for tracking all the entities, and we already know that the entity manager is equipped with few of the methods, and one of the method is create query. So we are passing on the string over here, which is a query language. So select C from club C, okay, where C dot club ID equals $1 and C dot club name equals $2. And then we're passing on the class name, which is the club. And then query dot set parameters. So this query and set parameters, the parameter position 1, we are putting the club dot get club ID, okay, and then we have query dot set parameter 2, okay. So the second parameter is we are passing on the club name. The another way is the named parameter, and let's say like we have a string name a, name equals a and pass equals a, and we're passing on em.createQuery, and we are asking for user with username equals username and password equals password, and then we are passing on this class, okay, which is the user class, and we are passing on the set parameter username. So the username is this is the database parameter, and then we are passing on this name over here, okay. So this is a named parameter, and then password, what we are passing on, the password, we're passing on this parameter, okay, pass, and then we are expecting a get single result, okay. So this is these are the two of the queries. Like one is the positional parameter where we are telling what the position is, and the next one is the named parameter where we are passing on a specific name as a string over here, okay. So the benefits of named and positional query is embedding parameters can cause the JPQL injection risks. Attacker can inject unwanted query and execute, and parameterized query is more efficient. So in one word, we can say that the parameterized query or the named and positional query are more efficient, and these are more secured. So now let's look into the code. The code over here, if I extend it, you can see that this is a implementation of the DAO service, and the service name is user DAO, where I have defined this one is a valid user, so I'm looking for if valid user or not, and the implementation is over here, okay. And by putting the repository, I'm telling this annotation that I'm telling that this relates to the database. And then persistence context, I have got the entity manager, and then what I'm getting over here, I is valid user, so the user is passed on, okay. The user parameter is passed on, and then I'm getting the name and pass password from this instance, right? From over here. And then I am doing what? I am using a named parameter over here, em.createQuery, okay, entity manager. And remember that we have to put the persistence context, otherwise I will not be able to use the entity manager. Okay, so entity manager dot create query, select u from user u, where u.username equals username, and u.user password equals password, and then I'm passing on this one, the name and the password, and then I'm expecting a single result. Okay, and I'm actually trying to get, or I'm trying to retrieve a user object if I find. So if user is not null, return true, that means I find my user, and if not, then I'm passing on the false, that means the user was not found. And for any kind of exception, I'm telling that a new DO exception, connection problem, or whatever, and then I need to close it. Remember that whenever I'm opening an entity manager over here, remember this is the entity manager, I'm creating a query, and then that needs to be closed in case I am going to have some kind of exception. Okay, so here we learned about the JPQL. And JPQL is nothing but the query language defined specifically for the entities in the JPA context. It's similar like our database query language, but a little bit different. And then we also talked about the named and the positional parameter, and we talked about the benefit of these two because these two are more secured and efficient. And then I showed you over here that how I'm using it with the entity manager under the persistence context, and then I'm creating a query, and then we can see that how it is going to the database and retrieving the user information. Okay, so that's all for today. Thank you.